I'm going to show you how I made that poinsettia cake, and I'm going to start with showing you how to cover the cake in fondant. You're going to need to cover your cake layers with a thin layer of buttercream first. That's what's going to allow the fondant to stick to your cake. For this, I like to use a turntable. Don't forget to place a dab of buttercream on your cake board before you add your cake so that the cake layers don't slide around on the board. And then I'm just going to sandwich these two small round cake layers together with some buttercream and crumb coat the sides. These cake layers that I'm using are actually scrap cake layers that I had in my freezer, and so you can see they don't match up all that great. The reason that I'm using a stiff decorator buttercream to do this crumb coating is because it's useful for filling in the gaps like that. The stiffer buttercream will kind of help act as spackling if nothing else, because when you're covering a cake with fondant you want to have as smooth of a surface and as level as a cake as you possibly can. Once I have the sides crumb coated, then I'm just going to add some buttercream to the top, and any excess I'm going to use that to try and make the sides a little bit more smooth. These cake layers were frozen when I iced them, and that's going to be useful because the frozen cakes obviously are easier to handle, but it's also going to keep this buttercream firm because it'll be cool instead of warm or room temperature. Now that my cake is ready to cover in fondant, I'm going to dust my work surface, and I need a circle that is at least 2 times the height plus the diameter of the cake. And in this case it looks like it's going to be around an 11 or a 12-inch circle. And here I have sped up the video so you don't have to watch me rolling out the fondant to cover this cake in real time. And I do want you to notice though how I'm lifting the fondant and rotating it as I go. This helps to make sure that the fondant isn't sticking to the rolling mat. And then I'm just going to fold the fondant back on the rolling pin, place the cake up against it, and flip the fondant over the top of the cake. And here I'm going to gently smooth the fondant over the cake and down the sides using both hands. With these round cakes it is, especially if it's a smaller round cake that has a little bit of height to it, the fondant is prone to creasing down around the base of the cakes, and you can just gently work those creases out by lifting the fondant up and then smoothing it down with your fingertips. I have sped up the video because I did actually take a few moments to get the fondant creases smoothed out on this cake, and it would have made this video really long if I had shown you in real time, but that's basically how you smooth a round cake without getting the creases down along the bottom edge. Once I have the cake covered and all the creases down along the bottom smoothed out, I'm going to cut off all this excess so I can wrap it up and it won't dry out and I can save it for something else. Then I just need to take my fondant smoother and smooth over the entire surface. Here again I have sped up the video so it doesn't take ages. And I'm just going to trim off this excess to make it nice and even around the bottom edge of the cake. Now that it's covered in fondant, it's ready to decorate.